I got into photography back in my skater punk days when I was a skateboarder, teenage in high school, and when we'd go out and skate on the town around Bowling Green, we would always have a camera with us, and just kind of stuck with me ever since then. And I guess the rest is history. Every photo student's goal is to be a conflict photographer and shoot for National Geographic. So, I mean, that was what it was going to be. But, life intervened, and my professional career took an entirely different trajectory than what I expected, but I think it's a much better one. I had my family early, and so I elected to stay in town in Bowling Green, and worked for the Daily News for about 8.5 years. Well, the fun thing about newspapers is that you never know what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis. You might know of an assignment or a football game or something a few days in advance, but what's really the most fun is the spot news, the unplanned events. And those are both fun and tragic because most of the time it's bad news that happens in that instant. And so, as a news gathering, service, we would cover, house fires, hotel fires, accidents on I-65. And those are some images that I still can't get out of my head to this day. Just the destruction, the death, and it's just horrible. And so those are things that, you have to cover. You feel like a vulture doing it, but, and those memories and those, images stick in your mind forever. The job came open and it just seemed like a perfect fit. I'd kind of, shunned it off in my earlier, youthful days as a photojournalist. I'm going to be a documentary photographer for National Geographic. Everything else is, out of the question. But with more experience and, and the family life, it was like, this could really be a good position for me because, I could almost go in and make the job whatever I wanted to. And truly, it's become, you get out of it what you put into it. And I worked incredibly hard, the first few years to really reestablish the office throughout the university and just really produce good, solid work. And people recognize good work. And so that has opened up many doors for me here at the university. I had gotten to know one of our geography professors, Dr. John All, and just in the course of talking one day, he's like, I've kind of started this whole idea, this project of climbing and science in Peru. He's like, would you want to come take pictures? And I was like, well, of course, I'm always ready to travel and go. So it took us several months to get all the all the details hammered out and get everybody on board, but eventually, I got the okay to go document Dr. All's research with the American Climber Science Project under the umbrella of the American Alpine Club to the Cordillera Blanca Range in Peru. During the course of the 2.5 weeks that I was there, not only did I document Dr. All's research, but because I was also on climbing groups with other members of the expedition, I ended up documenting the entire expedition as well, which was a huge benefit to the American Alpine Club and to the American Climber Science Program, because it's a really unique program to bring mountain climbers and scientists together for a common purpose. Just honestly, the exhaustion was more of an issue than anything. Specifically on our second big trip out, as we hiked up the Santa Cruz Valley, that was a 25-kilometer hike in, and we broke that up over 2 days, thankfully. But then as soon as we got to base camp, set up base camp, the next morning, our guide wanted us to climb up to the shoulder between two peaks, Quito-Rahu and Alpamayo, and that's about a 3,000-foot climb, about 1,500 meters, right after the 25-kilometer hike in, right after 2 days that I spent with 2 other members of our expedition, to where it was really just a training climb for me on a smaller peak, to where I got up to 17,500 feet. All of this together with really not even a rest day. So by the time we started up to Kitarahu, I was just so physically spent and tired that I passed out and collapsed for a little bit before we even reached the snowfield that we call the high moraine on this peak. And I just kind of blacked out for a while. I was just so physically exhausted that I couldn't move. And finally, by the time I got above the moraine, almost to the glacier field, I was just done. I was probably off route because I'd lost the trail, because everybody else was at least 30 minutes to an hour ahead of me, and ended up just dropping my trekking poles, dropped the camera, dropped the pack, and just laid down on the side of a rock for about 30 minutes before another hiker from Colombia found me and was able to kind of get me to sit up and regain somewhat of a focus, and was able to go tell the group that he was going to take me back down to base camp, that I was not going any higher. Just with a combination of exhaustion, altitude, I was done. That was as far as I was going at that point. Goals for myself is to actually make a summit of a mountain and not get stopped 200 feet short. And I just want to be a more capable climber. Now I'm on a pretty rigid fitness plan where I weightlift 3 days a week, do pretty tough cardio regimen. The other 2 days, really just to build up lung capacity, build up cardio, heart strength, and build my body up to be able to withstand, living in the mountains for 3 weeks. There's an old mountaineer's quote that says, the more blood, sweat, tears you put in the training, the less pain you'll have later in the mountains. In 2011, I lost 12 or 15 pounds and came back pretty much a skeleton. So trying to be more prepared to be able to, not be as slow as I was in 2011, be able to keep pace and just be a more solid mountain climber. Just really get into the meat of what the scientists are doing when I hopefully return this summer, because it's science that will benefit everybody, not only the Peruvians. I would like, the readers of my work to feel like they're there, that there's some authenticity, that it's not, so many photos now are Photoshop conglomerates. I like authenticity. There has to be that sense of truth and purpose in a picture. That is, what keeps me coming back, are those experiences of seeing something for the first time and just really being able to behold nature's beauty. And it's a religious experience when you see these beautiful mountain vistas, and sunrise just hits the top of the peak, and amazing sunsets. And I just want the reader to feel like they're there, and that they are participating, and that they have just a greater appreciation for what I'm able to bring back to them.